and we're very honored to have you with us today, Desiree. So thank you for speaking to us from the Texas Hill Country.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about, you've talked to me about your working to inspire women to feel more sexually free and fulfilled. And can you talk a little bit about how you try to do that with your work and what sort of your goal is?
Sure. I think empowered is the word I'm really looking for, because women have been, if I say sexually repressed, it gives the wrong connotation, but they have not been encouraged to be open and to express themselves. And I think that the best way to make any kind of partnership work is to have that open communication. So in my books, I try to show people through the relationships in my books how they can express themselves, how they can reach out to their partners and express how they feel and what their needs are. And so their partner can then satisfy them. And to show them that it's nothing to feel self-conscious about, to feel embarrassed about. In my books, first of all, I am the world's ultimate romantic. Everything I write has a happy ending. Everything. So, and I was fortunate because I had my own happy ending. But I tell people I write relationship novels, and the sex is part of the relationship. And that's what I try to show women. And it doesn't really matter how old you are either.
Right. How old are you?
I am 76. I will be 77 in 4 months.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. Sex doesn't stop when you reach a certain age. The body is different, the body's needs are different, and how you react is different. But my heroines are all different ages, and I've been aging them as I've gone along. And even now, I'm starting for Alora's Cave, a series of short stories about women in their 50s and maybe even in their 60s who have found a resurgence in their sex lives. And so this is the message that I try to tell people, you know, lead a healthy life mentally and physically, enjoy your body and enjoy sex, because there's nothing wrong with it and it's very emotionally fulfilling.
That's wonderful. So you said you didn't always have a healthy attitude about sex, but you were able to acquire one through your relationship with your second husband. Can you talk a little bit about that journey that you had from going from, would you say it was unhealthy, or what was the situation before you?
The first time that I was married, we were both very young. I told all of my kids, don't get married when you're young. You don't know what the hell is going on or the first thing about anything. And so for my first husband and I think it was a struggle learning to find out who we are and find ourselves together. And the kids came along and you have all these other things. And so it was a good relationship, but it was a different relationship. You know?
Did you know that you were missing something, or was it that you kind of just became aware of this new world with your second husband?
I think I knew that I was missing something, and so did he. But partway through our marriage, he became ill, and he was ill for a very long time. So that kind of took the impetus out of everything. He passed away when he was 49, which was a young age.
Yeah. Then
I met my second husband. And by that time, I think I was ready for whatever he brought to the relationship. And he had a wonderful attitude about it, because he was older too. He'd been through all the growing up and the learning and the experimenting and everything. And so he encouraged me to express my feelings to him. He used to tell me all the time, I want to make you happy. I want to satisfy you. But I can't do that unless you tell me what makes you feel good, what you like. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't be self-conscious. He taught me how to express myself honestly. That absolutely nothing I could say to him that would upset him. Maybe I would come up with something that he didn't like, which not ever really happened, but he said even if I did, we would just discuss it. He taught me how to unfold myself, I guess.
Well, it sounds like you had a model relationship, and that you were very blessed with that marriage.
Yes.
Um, while we're on that subject, any advice for people on creating or searching for or trying to create that kind of a partnership?
I think the first thing that I would say is learn to talk to each other. Most people
Yeah,
don't talk to each other. You know, they go through all the polite things. They go out to dinner. They go out to lunch. They do activities together, but they don't ever learn how to talk to each other.
right.
Say to the other person, what do you like? What makes you happy? What kind of things do you like to do? And
Hmm.
sometimes it's as simple as learning something that makes the other person happy that you don't want to do to begin with. My second husband was an avid golfer and a very good one.
Uh-huh.
To this day, I despise the game of golf. I learned to play, and I played with him, and I made every outing an enjoyment for him because he then did the same thing for me.
Hmm.
So it's learning what each of you wants, and it's talking to each other and learning to be honest. You
Right.
know, um, people don't know how to have conversations.
And that sounds like that conversation happens in and out of the bedroom.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when we moved to our second home together, I
Hmm.
went to 3 different places before we moved to Texas. We were sitting outside on our patio one morning. It was on a golf course, having breakfast and watching the golfers go by and just talking about some of the weirdest things. I can't remember now. I just remember the conversation just kind of hopscotched everywhere. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I am so blessed to marry a man who can talk about all these different things.
Yeah, that is amazing.
When we moved to Texas and we were both retired, neither of us really reached out to a lot of other people. Both of us had been in professions where we were surrounded by people all the time, so we wanted just to be together.
Yeah.
We lived in Texas for 9 years before he passed away, and I have to say that nearly every day of that 9 years, it was just the two of us. We didn't need anybody else
Wow.
in our lives.
That's amazing.
And that's what I try to show in my books, too. I try to
Hmm.
how to get there, how my characters are finding that position.
And you think that people can, it's realistic for people to get there, that it's not just the exception that you had this case, but that you can really model that for other relationships.
Absolutely. I think you have to forget everything your parents told you, everything
Uh,
your parents told you, everything even your girlfriends told you, and look at the person you want to be with. And I mean, it's kind of like saying, you know, can I sit for 24 hours with just this person and nobody else? And even if we don't have anything to talk about, enjoy the quiet times.
right.
You have to be open to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to show my characters doing.
So one of the things I'm curious about, and I'm sure this comes up for you a lot, is that this is not always the most, let's say, right, politic conversation to have with people. It's not necessarily cocktail party conversation. At least not any cocktail parties I've been to. Although I think I'd like to go to some of those cocktail parties. But can you talk about you know, this has got to be awkward at times. Obviously, you said your kids don't read your books. I mean, when this comes up in family reunions, or is there? How do you handle this?
I sat down with my kids when my first story sold to Alora's Cave, and then they asked me for another one. And I said to my husband, I said, wow, well, we better tell them what I'm doing. And I had picked a pen name specifically so that there would be a wall between me and them. So I sat down with them, and they said, if your books sell, Mom, that's all we really care about. Just don't ask us to read them.
Okay.
They are some of my best PR people. I mean, they give my books to everybody. They hand out my business cards. They tell me about it. But if I get in a conversation about one of my books with somebody and one of them is in the room, they stick their fingers in their ears.
Okay.
My family, my sister and brother-in-law think it's hysterical. And my brother-in-law runs around telling everybody that I write dirty. My sister. Right, erotic romance.
Right, you have to give him the right language, huh?
Yes.
Well, do you think that, although, I mean, it's understandable that your children would feel awkward reading what their mother is writing about these liaisons, but do you think you've parlayed a healthy sexual attitude to your kids?
I hope so. I think so. Two of my children are married very happily, both of my girls.
Mm-hmm.
My son is not yet married, and I hope that he finds the ideal mate. But
You said I thought you had twins, no?
yes, a boy and a girl.
Okay.
They just turned 50.
Yes, okay.
And my son is not married yet, but both of my daughters, the older and the younger one, are married and very happily and have, I think, very good, healthy relationships with their husbands. Because I talked to them a lot about it before they got married.
That's important too, is the ability for a parent to be able to talk to the child about these things. I think these are conversations that probably don't happen satisfactorily between parents and children, and it's important.
Parents sometimes feel constrained about it, and I can understand that. But, you know, my relationship with my second husband it was a much more mature relationship than with my first husband. I mean, I was barely out of my teens when I married him. So
Wow.
I know, you know. But my older daughter, Amy, when she got married, and she and her husband were together for a long time before she actually said, yes, I'll marry you. She said she wasn't going to get married until she found a man that she could have the kind of relationship with that I had with David.
Is that right?
Greatest compliment she could have paid me.
Isn't that wonderful? So I assume then that she did find that relationship because she married him.
Yes, absolutely. She found the perfect man for her.
So what advice can you offer for people about how to stay sexy as they age, as you know, to stay sexually vital as you have?
First of all, eat healthy. I mean, people don't think about healthy eating as part of sex, but if you eat healthy, you're keeping your body healthy, and that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, exercise. You don't have to join a gym. You don't have to, you know, run a mile. I have a treadmill in my bedroom, and I do an hour on my treadmill every day reading on my iPad.
Uh-huh.
Do some kind of exercise because it keeps the blood flowing, it keeps the body healthy. Drink a lot of water. I know I sound like, you know, doctor, whatever, but all of that goes into feeling good about yourself.
Right.
Take care of your hair. Take care of your skin.
Right.
Make yourself look good for your husband, your partner, whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to put on makeup every single day,
right, but
you're still going to do your best, because if you don't want to look at a slob, neither does he.
That's good advice.
That's simple, you know. I think people get so complacent with each other that they don't feel that they have to make the effort.
Right, that's true. Do you want to tell me about the favorite story that you've written? Of how many have you written so far? I know you had your 100th novel in 2011.
Yes, I have 140 titles now that are out, and that's novellas and full-length novels.
And
my very favorite. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, my very favorite. My first favorite is one called Once Upon a Wedding, a short novella about a woman who could not communicate with her fiancé what it was she really needed. And they were about to get married, and she said, I just need a weekend away. I need to get this out of my system. And he, of course, was reluctant to let her go. But she did, and he figured out how to make this work for both of them. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give away all the details because I really would like people to read it. It's a wonderful story, but it had such a great ending. And that's a real example of people who need to learn how to talk to each other, and mm-hmm. what happens when you tell your partner what you need and what that person does to make it happen.
Yeah, and taking risks, I think, seems to be another theme that you talk about.
You have to take risks. Maybe it won't always turn out the way you want, but you'll never know if you don't try.
Right. So what about in your romantic life? Is there anyone to come along, or so far in the pages? Just in the pages.
I mean, I have a friend that one of my author friends introduced me to. He's in his 60s. We call him tall, gray, and handsome. He's a really good friend. He takes me for rides on his Harley Davidson. My problem, I think, at this stage in my life is that, yes, I might be open to another relationship, but I had such a great one that it would be difficult for somebody to measure up to it.
Right, right. Well, we wish you much continued success and lots of love in your life as you bring romance and love to everyone, all of your readers, and a happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay. Take care.